Hello again. In this video I'm going to add some door textures. I'm not going to do the whole house. It'll take too long, so I'll do one of everything. I'll do the overhead door, the man door, and one window. And it's just all repetitive stuff after that. So I'll start with the overhead door. So you want to select the face. Zoom over there to it. Now I want a brown overhead door, and I think the only one of those I have is on, well, right there, house 1. I'll add that. Now I'll create a planar for it. So I'll select New Mapping, Planar. And I'll name this Planar FT House 10. I'm going to capture that. Control C. So I've got that in memory there. House 10 OHDR for overhead door. Hit enter and add 2. Okay, now select my gizmo. Go down, move that to center. Rotate. I'm going to stand it straight up so it faces me. 90, what I call degrees. And then to turn it to face straight toward me was 23 on the Z-axis. So there we go. Now, here's another thing that I have come to understand that I don't understand, but it works. The uniform scale or the constrained scale. Of course, the uniform, I understand it just keeps all edges, all sides equal. But on the constrained scale, you can make it tall, narrow, wide, however you want. I find when I go to from the rotate, which when I'm set on rotate, I call these coordinates degrees. When I change to constrained scale, I now call these coordinates feet. I don't know if it's coincidence. Maybe it's designed this way. I just don't know. I just know what works for me. So now that I'm on this constrained scale, I can tell this thing what size I want that overhead door to be by typing it into these coordinates. I know that the X coordinates is the width, and I want an 18-foot overhead door. So I'm going to type in 18 and hit enter. It just stretched it to 18 feet. Notice that's where I had my overhead door measured to. So I want this overhead door to be 7.5 feet tall. That's on the y-axis. 7.5 is 7.5 feet. 7.5, and there it is. Now I just told it with the X and the Y coordinates what size I wanted this opening. Now that I've got it here in the size that I wanted, I need to go around to these verts and line them up with the texture. So I'm going to turn that color off. I'm going to bring up the top view and select the top verts. So let's go to verts, move. I'll select this corner right there and this corner. Bring it up to top view. I'll show you once again with the ruler. This is 18 feet across there, which is 6 yards. So there you go. Now, I'm going to select this one side over here. Turn off the ruler first. I'll line these up real good. Now I'm going to go down here and watch this. And I want to find the edge of that overhead door. Kind of hard to see because it's dark. But I'm going to move it a little bit until I'm able to see the edge of that door. I just passed it. It's very pale. So I'm going to bring it back, and that's good right there. Now I'm going to do the same to the other side. Doggone it. I can see it now. But keep in mind here, I'm not changing the size of the texture. I'm changing the size of the box that I created to put the texture in. Right here is the center of this. It's very, very hard to see. So I'll bring this back over to right here. Whoop. Wow. Right about there should do it. Now I'll select the top. I'm going to hit F to make sure they're level. And I'll get in there as close as I can. And I can raise this with this. And I want to go right just above the black part. Leave that black on there. So that takes care of that door. Now I'm going to go do the man door. Now notice it doesn't match the sidewalk here, so I need to move it over. So I'll turn around on this top view. And I'll, oops, on the inside wall here. That door is right there. And there's the other side, so I'm going to move it over till it's in the center of the sidewalk. All right. Move a little bit further than that. That's more like it. Okay. Now, once again, I'm going to find me a door. After I select the face. I'll locate a dark brown colored door from somewhere. Now let's use house 3's front door. Add to it. Make me a planar for it. Do the mapping, planar. I can Control V and paste in that much of my description. And we'll call that door. Since it's the only door, there's no getting it confused. I called it the other one the overhead door. Alrighty, my texture's in there. Now we need to stand it up and rotate it around so it faces the door, the proper direction. So we'll move to center. I'm going to rotate. I'm going to stand it up 90 degrees. And now I'm going to rotate it on the Z-axis. Since the overhead door faced north and this one faces east or west, I need to add that 90 degrees to the 23 degrees from the front. So 113 will put it around square. So now I got a 16 by 16 foot frame square here. If I put it on constrained scale, there you can see it. All sides are 16 feet. What size do I want this door? I want this door 4 feet by 7.5 feet. So the width is on the x-axis, 4 feet, enter. The height is on the y-axis, 7.5 for 7.5 feet. Enter. And there's the door in place. So once again at this point we go back to verts and we get them properly placed around the door. Go back to the top view. Okay, this needs to be moved over this way. I'm on the Z-axis here, so I'll move it from up to top. So that line just barely shows. Oop, I need to grab a hold of both of these. And drag select them. Okay, there it is. Now I need to do the same over here. There's a hinge, so I'll just leave enough showing over there to where there's not more than there needs to be. I can see it from here okay. So that needs to move inward. I'm going to leave it right there. Now I'm going to deselect them and select these top two. Gotta watch out, I got stuff in the background. See how easy you could, if you drag selected something right there, you could really get into your plot. So just make sure when you're working around this like this that you don't reach out and grab something you shouldn't. Okay, now I'm going to lift this up. To right there. I'm going to hit F for flatten to make sure that's flat. Take a look at the bottom of the door now. Yep, that's good. I'm going to let that go. Excuse me. I'm having some breathing troubles tonight. Let's see, I'll select face. Get some high humidity going on, and it doesn't do much for the breathing. And I will put a picture window in here, if I can remember where that picture window is located. There it is. Add to it. Oops, I goofed. Look what I did. I did not deselect this before I selected these faces. I'm going to hit Control Z. Come back out of there. Now I will make sure I don't do that again. Alright, that was house 6. Here it is. Add that. Create a new mapping, planar. Paste in my partial name. Name it Win 6. Now, as I mentioned before, as I come around the house, I name them in numerical order, and this just turns out to be Windows 6 on the way around. So that's what I'll name that one. Hit enter, add 2. Now I want to stand this window upright. So I'll go back down to the bottom, move to center, select rotate, stand it upright 90 degrees. I want to turn it to face the same way the door is facing, so it's 113 on the Z-axis. And now I got a 16 foot by 16 foot square to size my window into. I'm going to constrain scale. I want this window to be 7.5 feet wide, so 7.5. And I want it to be 4.5 feet tall. So that's on the Y-axis, 4.5. Now you can pre-plan as you go, and when you're building your own house, you can determine how big you want your windows, so you can type all this information in when you get there. Or you can make that decision when you arrive. That's up to you. So this is a big picture window I'm putting in. So I have some verts to adjust out. But first I'm going to move it over more centered between the outer wall and the door. I'd rather get it right in the middle. So I'll go back to the top view, and that brings up my top view of the picture. And I'm going to select vert and drag all the way across here and see what's in the way. I need to move this center piece with it, otherwise I'll run into it. So I'll just grab it here and move it over until I'm happy with where it's at. It don't need to be dead center, it can be a little offset. I'm going to set it right there. Okay? Now let's go back to the bottom here and take another look at this. I'm going to select my move. Wait a minute. Need to move at the center again. There we go. Now I need to size these verts all the way around the edges. So I'll select verts. Watch out in the background. I'll select the top one, and then I'll look at the top and drag select from up there. And there's no danger of hooking anything. Alright, now I'm going to move this across until this has got a black edge. Right here is where the window duplicates itself, so I want to move this over to line it right up there with that black edge. I want the black edge to show. It kind of helps add a little bit more of a graphic effect to it, like there's a seam there. I'll get it straight here in just a second. If I get in a little bit closer, I can move it in smaller increments. One more time with feeling. Okay, I'm going to leave it right there. Now I'm going to go to this other side. Select it there and do the same to it. Okay, I got it. Now I'll just select the top verts only. Raise this up till I see the line. All right. Okay, there we go. So I put a window, a door, and an overhead door in. You saw how I first shaped the frames, how I sized them with my coordinates sizer, and how I lined all the holes up around the frames. Now that's about it. It's just repetitive from here on. And I will go ahead and before I join you again, I will have all these windows finished and be ready to de-shadow the whole thing. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.